accept that. That's a part of the game. But as you can see today with the players, they're fighting, they're working, they're running, and they're giving everything in the game. And it's just going to be a season where I always felt that, you know, after our summer market, that we were going to have to fight our way through this season. And the players are doing that, and gradually we'll hopefully get better results as the season goes on.
Thanks, Brendan.
Pleasure. Thanks, Des.
Yeah, Des asking about his achievements here, Robbie, but Claudio Ranieri was sacked after winning the league here within a year, so credit didn't do him any good.
Listen, I think we've seen a performance today where they were running, they were working hard, they were the better side. You know, they limited Crystal Palace to 1 chance, a clean sheet. That's 2 in the last 2 home games. But the results, you know, dictate what happens to a manager. He just needs a couple of wins. But where are those wins going to come from? I mean, Maddison being suspended against Leeds on Thursday. Leeds will bring a terrific away following as well. First goals in games are so important. The worry would be when they get into that final third, the little, you know, Harvey Barnes had 1 or 2 opportunities, and I think I seen a stat earlier. I know we talked about stats, but Leicester's average position of a chance is 18.5 yards out, so that's outside the box. And that would be a worry where the goals and the chances are coming from distance. It's in the final third, the final pass, which I'm sure Brendan will be working on the training ground. Let me get my words out.
So how concerned are you then about their Premier League status? Like you said, it's down to results, 1 win in 10.
Yeah, 1 win in 10, Crouch, is not good, is it?
No, you've please just thrown that one.
He doesn't want to tell me. Robbie, are you concerned, though?
Of course, Leicester are second bottom of the league. But of course, you're concerned, Crouch.
Got to be concerned, but I want to know what you think.
If you lose against Leeds and then you go to Wolves and lose, I think he's in massive trouble. Listen, he's probably in trouble now, but I've never, Lynn's, ever said, you know, sack a manager, because I know what entails, you know, being part of a football club, you know, when a manager is losing games. So it's very difficult. And I'd never sit on the sofa, you know, and say a manager should be sacked, because we don't know what goes on in the training ground. We don't know how much effort goes in. Joe and Crouchy, you know, they might have a different opinion, but I've never been in a position where I'm going to say get rid of a manager. Loyalty in football, we know. What does it mean? You said about Ranieri when they won the league. Look at Chelsea managers when they've won trophies. But the question is, if they were to get rid of Brendan Rodgers, who would come in who knows those players right now?
What we don't understand is the financial situation. We don't understand, you know, how much it's going to cost to get rid of Brendan, how much it's going to be to bring in a suitable replacement, because you'll have to spend a lot of money to get a top manager. So we don't know the situations.
It's reported it's around £10 million, but
yeah, he's obviously unhappy with the fact that every manager would be. They've not got the players they wanted to come in, and you know, he called it. He said there's going to be a difficult season. I don't even think Brendan and his staff would have thought it'd have been this difficult after 10 games with only 5 points, but I just think you've got to dig in. Like, you know, Brendan has made players better, and Sad's right in the sense that there was a little bit of fight in there today, and the clean sheet's crucial. You try and take something as a manager from a game, and they've got to take that as a positive.
Can I ask you a question, Joe, and Crouchy? So, say if they were to get rid of Brendan Rodgers, and there was a Premier League job available, a club would go for Brendan Rodgers and what he's done here. Top 5th twice, winning the FA Cup. So I think if Leicester were to get rid of him and a Premier League job come up, listen, possibly not a top 4 or 5, but anybody else. So Wolves, for instance, now, just say if Brendan Rodgers wasn't the Leicester manager, would Wolves?
They're taking him in a heartbit, yeah. I think they're taking him in a heartbeat.
Does he need to turn the situation here around first before he's in those conversations again?
No, I don't think so. I think he's proven it over the course of his career that you know, he can manage at this level. Like, obviously, this is the first sort of real period of you know, where he's under pressure. But he said it at September the 1st, after the window, he was we'll be in for a struggle this year. You know, he wasn't happy with the window, he wasn't happy with strengthening. But we saw it with Arteta, like last year, mate, how much grief he was getting, you know, how much, you know, how much pressure he was under. You know, sticking with the manager, there is something about sticking with the manager, seeing through it and playing.
What would be the problem if Leicester were to get relegated and Brendan Rodgers wanted to stay, or Brendan Rodgers bringing Leicester back up? Burnley did it with Sean Dyche.
Yeah.
So because, you know, Leicester is struggling, sacking managers, there is a bit where stick with a manager. I don't you think, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, common sense very rarely prevails in football, does it? And we've all sat here and we all know the game, and we all know Brendan Rodgers is a proven manager, and to get yourself out of a situation like this. But just looking at the owner's face when we zoomed in on him after the game, he doesn't look like a man content with his football club at the moment. But the logical thing would be to stick by him. But what Crouchy said about, you know, when Brendan said in the press that he wasn't happy with, you know, he would have liked to bring in more recruits. I've been in dressing rooms when managers said that, and you look around and you think to yourself, he don't fancy us here. You know, and then they come, and then you have the next meeting, and the manager
It doesn't do much for morale.
Yeah, and then the manager saying, "I believe in you as a group."
You want to see new players come in, Joe?
Yeah.
You know what it's like, Sav, at the start.
So you don't want to think that you're not good enough.
Yeah.
At the start of the season, the levels go up in
But
training.
results will tell you that they're not good enough at the minute. So surely, in that dressing room, you've been in dressing rooms, we all have, where the summer comes and better players are coming in. You know, even the better players think, oh, they might bring something out, my game improves. So a player in a dressing room, once new players come in, better players, it lifts everybody's level.
Especially if you see everyone around you strengthening. You know, Forest, how many players that, you know, far less than Leicester. You know, locals are here are bringing in that many players, spending that much money. You're looking at it and thinking, you know, what are we doing?
But then again, sorry, Lynn, that's like when you're saying things like that. Again, we're only surmising because we don't know the facts. But when managers get asked, they get asked the same questions every week about whether they're happy with the squad players coming. So when they say things like Scott Parker at Bournemouth, it usually means something's gone on where there's a breakdown in what the manager wants and what the chairman's prepared to bring in, and you try and leverage it off each other. It's like, you know, it's almost like political games out in public when really and truly, I think the whole club needs to. If the owner just come out and go, no, right, bang, we're staying with Brendan. This is what we are. We've done this. I'm backing him. The players will go, maybe a private thing. We're going to bring in 2 players in January. And there's enough quality in this squad to stay in the Premier League.
They've massively overachieved, this football club. Winning the league was never going to happen again.
Ridiculous.
And then finishing 5th twice, win the FA Cup.
Yeah.
He's massively overachieved. Just say if they'd finished 14th, 15th over the last 3 years, and they are where they are now, that's par for the course. People think, well, we've got to get to 14. He's massively overachieved.
Yeah, but you know, Stav, sorry, Chris.
I know.
Fans, once you're there, once you've touched that mountain, you want it again and again and again. And fair play, the training ground's different class. They've invested in players. So it's right for that they're not happy with where they are at the moment. And this group of players, we've praised them over the last few years because they've done it. But it's a different situation now.
It is. Expectations huge now, aren't they? They do need to get out of this rut. Couldn't get the win today, Leicester, but they are off the bottom, just up to 1 place by now. Let's get the view, though, from the other side, because Patrick Vieira is with Des.
Patrick, what did you make of today's display? You got a point, but did it feel like a frustrating afternoon for you?
It was, because we didn't play as well as we planned it and we wanted. I think in the first half we had situation that allowed us to create a little bit more, and I don't think we were aggressive enough going forward. I think we didn't penetrate enough behind the back 4, and then in the second half it was all about them. I think in the second half we didn't create nothing, no situation. But at the other side we defended well because we didn't concede the goal. So of course there's a frustration there, but we at least take a points today.
Got a point. Did you lack intensity? What was it? Concentration?
Yeah, it wasn't. I think at time we were lack of quality in the first half, making the right decision, giving the right ball at the right time, and in the second half was we were completely flat. We didn't play going forward. We didn't play to hurt them, and at the end we had a poor second half, I would say it.
We saw you trying everything. I mean, trying different substitutes, because at half-time in the Leeds game, you went longer, you went aggressive. It didn't happen this time, did it?
No, because there was an opportunity there to play 4 against 2. I think the front 2 work hard, yes, but we wasn't brave enough to break that line and to find our holding midfield. And when we did find our holding midfield, we didn't had the pass going forward. So we didn't break lines today. I think we didn't take much risk. And that is one of the reasons why we didn't create very much, and especially in the second half.
You've got Wolves, Everton, Southampton, they're all in the mix in the next few games. You can make some ground up.
No, we have to perform better.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
They are up to 13th with that point today. Given who they started the season against, Peter, they had a tough run, didn't they? Do you think they'll be generally satisfied with where they are, and should they be?
I don't think they're satisfied where they are. I think they should be higher. I think they've played reasonably well. I think they've played some top teams. I think all of the top four. And they're going into a run of games now where you'd like to think, I think 4 or 5 games where they're all winnable. And I expect them to pick up enough points.
Just want them to see offering a bit more up front, Joel.
Yeah, again, we're talking about the goal scoring record of the front three, and it's not good. But Patrick's more concerned. He sounded like breaking the lines with the players. There's a lot of Palace are one of them teams you don't know what you're going to get. Today, I thought they just limped over the line for a point, which they should be delighted with to get out, coming out of this place with a point. But you just don't know what you're going to get. A bit more consistency coming is what they need.
Well, we've run out of time, guys, but good to have your company today. Peter, Robbie, Joe, thank you very much. A reminder that our Premier League offering next weekend is Forest against Liverpool. We'll be with you for all the build-up from 11:30, but now we're going to hand...